Hey, what's up everybody? This is Mr. 008 here, and today I have for you a video covering the balance changes and other patch notes for update 39.0 of Bloons TD6. So, before we get started with the main content of today's video, I don't mention this often, but let me just go over here and show you guys that I have a creator code, so just type in right here, Mr. 008, spell out Mr., no spaces between Mr. and 008, hit confirm. It is not case sensitive, but if you are making any purchases in the game and you use my creator code before you make the purchase, that will help to support my channel, so thanks in advance for using my code. So let's go ahead and go to Sandbox. I'm going to choose a map that definitely has both water and land. So I'll choose Park Path, I guess. Let's go here, medium sandbox as so. And let us go over the update. So first of all, there's the map editor in the game, which I showed in yesterday's video, or actually, I'm pretty sure it's going to have been 2 days by the time I upload this video, so I'll say the video from 2 days ago, the day that the update was released. In that video, I covered the map editor, which Ninja Kiwi says has been planned 2 years ago, roughly, and has been in development throughout this whole year. So it's definitely taken a long time, so I'm glad that they decided to stick with it and put it in the game, because it's a great addition to the game. So other players' maps can be played from level 20 when the content browser opens, and at rank 50, you can unlock map creation for 6,000 monkey money, or through an in-app purchase on platforms that have IAPs available. You can find the map editor via either Play Social or from the Create button in the Content Browser Maps tab. And then it works on all platforms and devices. So we have some new content as well, including a new hero skin, Bookworm Etienne, which I unlocked in last video. A new map, I forgot to mention this in the previous video, that map is called Dark Path. It's sort of like this map, except there are like blockers, like hedges that surround the path that is Park Path, and the balloons come from here and go around there and then exit there. So the balloons go on the water. So there is that. There are hero quests for Etienne and Oben, and then there's Grow Less Than Galaxili, which is a least tiers challenge on Geared. New Monkey Knowledge, Paragon of Power, which will largely buff the attack speed of any Paragon as long as you do not have any tier 5s of the same tower type on the map at the same time. Then there are some trophy store items, some competition winning items, like custom, like player made or fan made avatars, things like that, some new contested territory things, and then some changes regarding the boss event penalty timer, which has been reworked, so the new way it works. Seems like it works. It doesn't really have much of an impact early game, but in the later parts of the game, it does have a significant impact. So the formula is 10 seconds after balloons stop spawning on a given round, plus a quarter of the round number. So if you're on round 20, then the penalty timer will start 15 seconds after the balloons stop spawning at the end of round 20. If you're on round 100, then it's going to be 35 seconds, and so on. So penalty time counts in boss events, and while it is counting, cash generating abilities will stop cooling down. I like that. That's a good change to prevent stalling and cheap strategies like that. Extra contested territory logic has been added to support newer content. You can use the Beast Handler in contested territory, and Phase and Dread Bloon will now be available to go up against in CT as well. And then custom challenges will now display the version they were verified in rather than the version they were uploaded in. There's some map editor stuff. I went over that in the previous video, so I'll skip that for now. Some bug fixes, all of that stuff. I'll link the patch notes if you guys want to look at that. But I'll skip that part for now, and let's dive straight into the balance changes, which is the main subject of today's video. So, the Ice Monkey has gotten some changes. So, the base Ice Monkey has been buffed pierce-wise from 30 to 40, and the Deep Freeze crosspath now gives you 5 extra pierce instead of 10 extra pierce. So it would have been an increase from 30 to 40 pre-39.0, but now it's an increase from 40 to 45, so it doesn't give you as big of an increase by itself, but it's still technically better than it was pre-update. Snowstorm is now more expensive, from $3,000 to $3,800. I'll show you again right there. And then the Absolute Zero has been reduced from 20k to 19.2k. The Come On Everybody Monkey Knowledge is affecting that right here, but if we go right here, it displays the default price. So if you want to get the 4th tier but not the 5th tier, it is more expensive than it was before. However, if you're going straight for the 5th tier, you will not have to pay any extra than you would have before the update. Next up, we have the Glue Gunner. So the Bloon Dissolver will now dissolvify balloons in a fasterized manner, as the patch notes say, once every 0.5 seconds instead of once every 0.575 seconds. So you can see that it's a little bit faster there. So decent job against that ceramic. We can see it against a fortified ceramic right there. No crosspath even, and it still pops it, so that's nice. The Glue Strike ability has gotten some changes as well. So this ability and the Glue Storm ability can now hit Moab class balloons without the corrosive glue crosspath. So I'll show you guys that right here. See how the Moab gets glued right there. It's not doing damage because it's not corrosive. Let's use the ability again right there, and we can see that the Dart Monkey is dealing +2 damage to the Moab per hit because of the Glue Strike effect. However, there is a nerf with the Glue Strike ability as well. It only glues 3 layers by default instead of 6. Glue Storm, used to be 9 layers, now only 3 layers by default. However, the Glue Storm ability is getting a buff, and that is that the attack cooldown is being reduced from 2 seconds to 1 second. So the glue for the ability will reapply to newly spawned balloons twice as frequently, so that's nice. Also, the 140 and 150 Glue Strike and Glue Storm will glue infinite layers. So this is still the better crosspath, even better than it was before. But there are some uses to the other crosspath as well, because Moabs will get affected by any Glue Strike or Glue Storm ability now, not just the corrosive ones. Now we have the monkey sub. The preemptive strike is getting a bit of a buff. Price decreased from $32,000 to $32,000 to $29,000. Also, 20 ceramic damage bonus. 20 bonus damage. So let's go ahead and get a dart monkey up there for the intel. And so hold on a second. Forgot to get the 5th tier. So there we go. Look at that. And then we have the fortified ceramic as well right there. So 20 bonus damage to ceramics instead of 15 like it was before. And it's cheaper, so that's nice. I like that. Because the preemptive strike is not a very popular tower right now. Meanwhile, its 4th tier counterpart is seen quite often, especially in either chimps mode or challenges or things like that, just to help out against round 100 or whatever. So that's it for the sub. Helipilot right here. Support Chinook is getting bigger projectiles. They will now have a size of 6 instead of 3. Also, their damage is getting buffed from 1 to 2. So let's go ahead and look right here against this rainbow. See how easily it gets popped right there. Let's send out quite a few of these fortified ceramics right there. So the projectiles are bigger. I can't really tell a difference from the old projectiles, but if we go right there and you pause at the right moment, you can see that the projectiles from the Chinook are larger, and that does not increase the damage, but the damage is increased separately. The projectile size increase solely is to make it so that they are less likely, the darts, to miss their targets. And then we have the Comanche Commander right here, decreased in price from $35,000 to $32,000. That's a good change as well, an underused tower. Then we have the Mortar Monkey right here. So the base mortar deals 2 damage now instead of 1. However, note that its Pierce is getting nerfed. Right here, notice how we pop 25 red balloons right there, even though we sent out 26. It used to have a Pierce of 40, now it's only 25. Meanwhile, the bigger blast Pierce is going to be 45. So, I believe that pre-update, the Pierce of the 1XX mortar was 60, because in the patch notes it says Pierce increased from 20 to 45. So let me actually test this out. Let me send out 100 of these, reset the pop count, 100 red balloons right there, and oh wait, forgot to upgrade right there. 70, okay. So the Pierce increase from going up to bigger blast used to be 20. So what that means is that the Pierce of the 000 mortar used to be 40 and 100 used to be 60. Now the 000 is 25 and the 100 is 70. So the bigger blast mortar is better than before in terms of Pierce, while of course inheriting the 2 damage from the base mortar. But the base mortar's Pierce is not as good as it used to be. Balloon Buster now deals 3 layers of damage instead of 2 like before. However, once you get the big one, it stays at the 7 that it was before, so this tower is not getting changed. It's only above to 3rd tier and below. Then we have the Pop and All, lots of changes here. So let's go through these right now. So it looks to be attacking crazy fast compared to before. and that corresponds to one of the buffs. So the main attack explosion radius is 23 instead of 20, so that's a buff right there. The attack cooldown delay reduced from 0.27 seconds to 0.0675 seconds. So this tower attacks 4 times as fast as it used to. So what that means is it's basically permanently got the bombardment ability of the 4th tier. It seems like maybe I'm wrong, because the bombardment does not solely increase attack speed. It also increases the size of the explosion, and also more bad damage, boss damage, and all that. But so yeah, it's super duper fast at 5th tier now. I like that. I think that's a good change to make it a better tower. However, bonus ceramic damage is 3 instead of 12. Bonus lead damage, 1 instead of 4. Fortified and Moab bonus damage, 1 instead of 4. So that means that we are not seeing much, if any, of a change for those balloons. So let me see. So it's 2 damage instead of 1, like before. So before it would have done 5 damage, because it's 1 plus the 4 bonus to leads, fortifieds, or Moabs. Now it does 2 plus the 1, or 3, but it attacks 4 times as fast. So it's still over twice as strong against those balloons, if my math is correct. Then we have the ceramics. Used to be 13, 1 plus 12 bonus. Now it's 5, 2 plus the 3 bonus, but again, 4 times as fast. So it's a little over 1.5 times as good against ceramics now as well. So it's a pretty good tower now. I think that I am definitely going to use this tower more, even though I'm not big on mortars in general. I do like this tower now, just seeing how strong it is. So let's go ahead and send out a lot of fortified ceramics right there. So we do need to micro it a little bit to pop all of these. But it looks like even with no cross path, we popped like 100 fortified ceramics right there with no cross path and no ability. So we can definitely make for even stronger uses of this tower with a cross path and the ability. And also some buffs as well, like jungle drums and an alchemist and all of that. So next up, Dartling Gun. Also, by the way, there is one more mortar change that I will get to later in this video. However, I will be holding off on that for now. So, the Dartling Gun, Hydro Rocket Pods is now cheaper. 4,800 instead of 5,100. So if you want to get more of these towers, or you want to get one of them faster or sooner, you can do that. Meanwhile, the Rocket Storm is 5,550 instead of 5,250. So if you're going for a 4th or 5th tier Dartling, it's not cheaper than before. So, I don't know if you guys could hear that, but I had something stuck in my throat, unfortunately. Hope you guys don't mind, because those things just happen randomly, sort of, and I can't really anticipate them, but I'm trying not to make too much of a big deal out of them. So moving on, Wizard Monkey. Let's go ahead and take a look at this tower and the balance changes. So the Wall of Fire is now cheaper, $800 instead of $950. The 120 Wall of Fire makes the Wall of Fire last for 6.5 seconds instead of 5.5 seconds. So that means that this wizard will constantly be putting down new firewalls, sort of like pre-Wall of Fire nerf, so that's nice. But again, this does mean no pierce increase and no camo detection, so it's about deciding which cross path you would like to use. Then we have the Summon Phoenix. This tower now costs 7,500 to upgrade to instead of 6,000. However, 140 now adds light seeking to the ability. So let's go ahead and use this. So notice how the Phoenix's fire does home in on the balloons. It's kind of hard to tell, but let's go ahead and send out, maybe go ahead and give camo detection, send out a couple of DDTs right there. And you can see it a little bit better there, how after hitting the first DDT, the fire projectiles would home in on the second. So that's nice. Again, you need this cross path in order to get that benefit. Wizard Lord Phoenix is 50,000 instead of 52.5 thousand. So a little bit cheaper now, because it is 57,500 to get the Summon Phoenix and WLP combined, whereas it was 58.5k before. Wizard Lord Phoenix Radial Attack Pierce is 300, not 500 like it was before, so that is a bit of a nerf. And the D-Camo Pulse Range, let's go to the Shimmer now. The pulse range of the D-Camo now matches the tower range at 60. It's not 80 anymore like it used to be. So what that means is if we send out some camos right there, notice how the last couple of ceramics are still camo, whereas pre-update they would have all been decamoed because of the pulse range being larger than the actual range of the tower that triggers it to attack the incoming balloons. So because of that, it is a little bit of a nerf. However, the D-Camo pulse radius is set to 25% more than the tower range, which means that, so that's the radius, not the range. I'm not sure what the difference is between the D-Camo pulse radius and the range. If someone could clarify that in the comments, because most things don't confuse me here. Even things that confuse some other people on a normal basis, I tend to be able to figure out what they mean, but this is not one of those things. So if someone could tell me the difference between the D-Camo pulse range and the D-Camo pulse radius, thank you in advance if you can tell me. And we have a buff for the Prince of Darkness, 80 range once again instead of 60, so that's nice. And we have a change for the Super Monkey right here. So if you get the Sun Temple right here, and we will do that, 50k in magic sacrifices. So when you get the mini Sun avatars from the Sun Temple, they are no longer going to ignore the line of sight. So if we were playing on a map that had obstacles, then these avatars would not actually, they would not be able to see through the obstacles. So see how there's that hint of red at the top of this mini avatar's range? That is basically what this means. Meanwhile, if we were to go for a 5th tier, I'm pretty sure it is still the same as before, such that the mini avatars can see through obstacles. So you need a true sun god in order for the mini avatars to ignore obstacles and blockers. Meanwhile, you used to be able to use a 4th tier for that, but that is no longer the case. Next, we have some Ninja Monkey changes right here. So let's sell these avatars right there. The Flash Bomb stun duration is getting a buff from 1 to 1.3 seconds. So that's nice. Then we have the Master Bomber getting some changes. So the area of effect damage, the splash damage when one of these bombs explodes, to nearby Moabs is 600 instead of 300, and the sticky damage to its specific target balloon is 3,000 instead of 1,000. However, its attack rate is once every 5 seconds instead of once every 2 seconds like it was before. So let's go ahead and send in some balloons right here. Notice how it attacks slower. However, each sticky bomb deals more damage than before. So it's a bit of a rework. Not sure how I feel about it, but yeah, I'm hoping that it's still a good tower, and we will have to test it out in a future video to see if that is true or not. Next up, we have the Alchemist. So the 220 Alchemist specifically will get a bonus for the acidic mixture dip. Actually, it used to get a bonus as well, but that bonus is reduced from 3 to 2. So what that means, I think, is that the number of seconds or the number of shots, something along those lines, extra that you will get from the AMD buff is only 2 now instead of 3 like it was before. So this will not be as powerful as of a cross path. Next up, we have the Transforming Tonic and the Total Transformation. So these upgrades, their damage may now distribute damage to children. So let's go ahead and get, I think I know what this means. So let's go ahead and get Unstable Concoction and Transforming Tonic right there. And we'll send out some Moab class balloons and all that stuff. And let's get a Sun Avatar right there. Just try and do these, like pop these balloons and all that. So let's go ahead and sell and clear the balloons. So I'm not seeing much of a difference. Maybe it's only in reference to the ability. I don't know. But let's go ahead and send out maybe 80 ceramics right there. And so this ability is pretty good. It's not much of, like, it's not weak or anything. So maybe it's in reference to the ability, because I do not see the concoction attack being stronger for this 4th tier than it is for the 3rd tier. So I'm going to make the judgment call that this affects the ability and not the concoction attack, not the passive attack. So next up, we have the Druid. So the Heart of Oak is getting a bit of a buff. So let's go ahead right here and see. So for every life you gain from the starting value after getting this upgrade, you will get 1% extra pierce. So let's see right here, and we get, so just take a look, and we're getting like 8 pops or so from each of these. Again, 8 thorns with 1 pierce each. Meanwhile, if we go ahead and set our lives back up there, then we will get projectiles that have 2 pierce. If we get hard thorns, they'll have 4 pierce each. So take a look right there, we're getting 32 pops each shot. However, this only affects thorns. It does not affect lightning. And I'm not sure if it affects the brambles from Druid of the Jungle. I'm guessing it probably does, but it does not affect lightning, unfortunately. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe it has to do with the code, because it just says applies for cross-path attacks. However, note lightning cannot benefit from Pierce. So I don't know why that is. But then we have the Jungle's Bounty, which will now generate 1 extra life at the end of each round. So when this round ends right here, we will see our life count. I guess not. 1 life. And let's go right here. Right there. And it doesn't work. Maybe it's because it's in Sandbox, but it is supposed to give you an extra life at the end of each round. Also, the track Bramble Pierce for the Jungle's Bounty is being reduced from 40 to 30. So it's a bit of a rework. It's more support-based and less damage-based. I think that's a good thing because it used to be support-based but underwhelming, and then it became damage-based with the buff to the Druid of the Jungle and all of that, and then the fact that the 4th tier can shoot out 2 insta-kill attacks at once instead of just 1. So yeah, there is that stuff as well, and I presume that Ninja Kiwi wanted to make it a bit more supportive again, while not being underwhelming like it originally was. So I definitely think that's a good change. Then we have the Ball Lightning. The chance of the lightning balls freezing the balloons that they pop has been increased all the way from 25% to 100%. So the freeze is part of the base attack now. It is no longer Monkey Knowledge exclusive. So the Cold Front Monkey Knowledge, instead of increasing the freeze chance like it used to, will now allow the lightning arcs from the Ball Lightning to also freeze. So it's no longer restricted to the lightning ball itself, but also it also works with the extra lightning shot out by each lightning ball. So let's go ahead and see if we can see that in action right here. Let's send out like 100 ceramics or whatever. Okay, range is too small. Do that. And notice how even the lightning itself, since we have Monkey Knowledge on the arcs that are being sent out from the ball, are freezing the balloons as well because of the Monkey Knowledge. So that's nice. I like that. Then we have the Spike Factory. So let's go ahead and do this. So the Moab Shredder will now deal 9 bonus damage to Moabs instead of 4. So 10 damage instead of 5 per spike against Moabs. Same thing for Spike Storm, and the Carpet of Spikes used to be 5 bonus damage or 6 total damage. Now it's 10 total damage or 9 bonus damage, just like the 3rd and 4th tier are now. So same thing goes for the ability. However, it is receiving a attack speed decrease, going from roughly 3 times a second at 0.33 seconds cooldown to roughly 2 times a second at 0.49 cooldown. So in other words, it's better against Moabs, it's better against its intended targets, but it's not as good against everything else, is what I take out of this. So it's an interesting change. We will have to see how that plays out. Then the Engineer. When you get the top path 5th tier right here, and you get oversized nails as your cross path, the Pierce of the Sentry explosions when they explode, go right there. That Pierce is being increased from 51 to 70. And the XXXL trap used to be $54,000, now it's $48,000. So those are some nice buffs to the engineer right there. And then we have the Beast Handler, which is getting quite a few changes right here. So let's go over those real quick. So the Beast Handler right here, there goes the Final Sentry. The Beast repositioning has a cooldown now. It did not have one before. So if we move the Piranha right here, right there, notice that red circle that slowly goes away. When it goes away, we can reposition the Piranha. So this applies individually to each Beast Handler or each Beast. More specifically, for any Beast Handler that isn't 000, there is that 5-second cooldown you'll have to worry about, so you won't be able to get as fancy with your micro with this tower as you would have before. But then again, if you can just move the beasts whenever, it's kind of a super strong tower. So Ninja Kiwi is just trying to make it so it's not overpowered. Next up, Great White Shark. So the Great White's Pierce has been buffed from 6 to 10. So, it is significantly stronger. That's a 67% increase just about. And the max bonus Pierce from merging. So when you have a Great White at 24 beast power, when it's maxed out, that used to have 18 bonus Pierce, or a total of 24 Pierce. Now it's going to have 20 bonus Pierce, or a total of 30 Pierce. So 67% stronger with no merging, and compared to a max merged Great White from before, it's going to be 25% stronger with max merging. And then the Orca, no base Pierce increase, but it will be stronger when maxed out with merging. 64 beast power will get a bonus Pierce, a max bonus Pierce of 40 instead of 24. And mid-beast power Orcas will be buffed as well, just not by as much, it sounds like, from how the patch notes are worded. Next up, we have the middle path. The Atasaurus is going to attack a little slower than before. It used to have an attack delay of 0.9 seconds. Now it's 1 second. So that is a nerf of, if my math is correct, I think that's a 10% nerf, because it's going from 1.1 repeating attacks per second to 1 attack per second. However, max attack delay reduction from merge is increased from 0.3105 to 0.3439. So the maxed out Atasaurus pre-update would have attacked with a cooldown of 0.5895, I think, but now it's going to be 0.6561. So it's still slower, but it's not as big of a nerf for higher beast power Atasauruses as for lower beast power Atasauruses. Same thing with the Velociraptor, same attack cooldown increase or attack speed nerf, and same increase in the change in attack speed when you merge it to its maximum merging power. Next up, Giganotosaurus. I'm not sure why I sold that. Let's go ahead and get this right here. Giganotosaurus will now no longer be blocked by any kind of line of sight stuff. So let's go ahead right here actually and put the Tyrannosaurus Rex right there. See that little bit of red in the top and the right parts of that circle? Well, when we merge right here and we upgrade to a Giganotosaurus, no red anymore. It can see through obstacles and hit through obstacles. So when these Moabs come around, the tree no longer blocks the Giganotosaurus, and other obstacles won't block it either in the future. So that's nice. Also, Giganotosaurus's ability cooldown is reduced from 35 seconds to 25 seconds, so you can use that stunning stomp more frequently. That's nice. Then we have some changes for the bottom path, so let's get to those next. Horned Owl, Pierce reduced from 8 to 6 at the base level. Meanwhile, the max bonus Pierce from merging is being increased from 8 to 12. So a max Horned Owl used to have 16 Pierce, now it's 18 Pierce. So weaker at lower beast powers, but stronger when maxed out. The Giant Condor next, at max beast power, can now attack ungrabbable Moabs. So let's go ahead and get these. Right here. Merge. No, not what I wanted. Right there. And let's send out a ZOMG, not 100 of them. One ZOMG right here, and notice that when it gets in range of the Condor right here, that's strange. It's supposed to be able to attack ungrabbable Moabs, but unless I'm understanding something incorrectly, it's not working as intended. So, yeah, I don't know. But, it will now get a larger Pierce penalty from grabbing Moabs. Pierce penalty of 14 for a total of 15 Pierce, instead of a penalty of 9 for a total of 10 Pierce like before. So each Moab is worth 15 Pierce. Each BFB is worth 45 Pierce instead of 30 like before for the Giant Condor. So let me send out like that, maybe. So it's attacking the BFBs right there. It's not doing anything to the ZOMGs though, I don't think, at least. So I don't know what's going on, if it means something different than I thought, or if it is something different. Next we have some Puekai changes. The Puekai has gotten its base Pierce nerfed from 200 to 150. Max bonus Pierce from merging, 300 instead of 250. So at max beast power, the Puekai has 450 Pierce, like it did before the update. So it's not nerfed at max, only at lower than max powers. However, its damage is being reduced from 20 to 10, but the max bonus damage from merging is going up from 40 to 80, which means that its damage, its base damage is 10 instead of 20. However, at max, its damage is 90 instead of 60, like it was before. But there is a catch. The bonus Moab damage is being reduced from 110 to 80. So at max beast power, it's going to be the same as it was before as far as Pierce and Moab damage are concerned. But it will do a little bit better against ceramics and super ceramics especially. So that is nice. So it's a little bit of a interesting change. Not going to be affected too much when maxed. It's going to be a little bit weaker at lower beast powers, but that's okay. After all, it was one of the best towers in the game. my favorite tier 5 beast, so we'll have to see if that changes now to either the Megalodon or the Giganotosaurus going forward. But we also have some other balance changes to touch on regarding some heroes and some paragons. So let's go ahead and get to those next. And I'm going to cut the video here so I can switch out my hero and go to the hero balance changes, and I'll see you guys again soon. Okay, so the first of the heroes that are getting a change in update 39 is Gwendolyn.
We have
So
ignition.
at level 3, Gwendolyn's Cocktail of Fire ability is going to have less Pierce, 30 instead of 40. However, when you upgrade her to level 7,
Awesome. Yeah.
she will have 50 Pierce for her ability instead of 30. So stronger at medium and high levels, but weaker at low levels. Next up, her base attack burn damage starting from level 6 is 1 instead of 2. So that's a nerf right there.
Yes.
And then at level 9 it will be 2 instead of 4. So that's an interesting change right there. Level 10 plus will remain 1 extra per level. So that means at level 20 she'll have 13 burn damage as opposed to the 15 from pre-update. So not too big of a nerf, but still a nerf. So that is going to be something that we'll have to see how that works over time. And yeah, so Gwendolyn is the first of 4 heroes that are affected in this update. So let's go ahead and move on to the next. Okay, so the second of the 4 heroes getting affected in this update is Striker Jones. So starting at level 7, he will get another ability called Target Focus. So while this ability is active for a period of 15 seconds, all mortars will follow touch on mobile or cursor on PC and have 30% improved accuracy, and the ability has a 30-second cooldown, so as much as a 50% uptime. So let's go ahead and take a look right here. So I'll just get 3 artillery batteries right here, and let's get the top cross path right there. Send out some BFBs, Moabs, all that stuff. Use the ability right here, and I am tapping, and where I tap, the mortars will go right there. When the ability expires, they reset automatically to their preset targets. If you change their preset target while the ability is active, then they will just go automatically to that new preset target, even if the ability is still active. So that's probably not a good idea to do generally until the ability is over. But it's a nice ability. Let me just test real quick. If I swipe, if I hold my finger down, yes, it still does have them follow right there. So that's nice. So that's it for Striker Jones, and let's get on to the third hero now. Okay, so we do have some nerfs to cover for Adora, so let's take a look here. So for her long arm of light ability, that will now have a cooldown of 45 seconds instead of 40 seconds. So you will have to wait a little bit longer to use that ability now. At level 7, her Blood Sacrifice ability now has a cooldown of 30 seconds instead of 10 seconds. So when we use this sacrifice thing right here, not that that gives any XP because that was a free Dart Monkey, but notice how it's taking a pretty long time to recharge relative to what we're used to. So that's an interesting change right there. Presumably to make it so you can't buff her as often even if you're not using it for XP. So you can't buffer as often, like with the extra power for money sacrifice and all that. That's a temporary thing. Her attack cooldown delay, notice how the A, you can't see it right here on the video, but if you're looking at the patch notes and following along, that is an Among Us character right there instead of a typical A. Where it says Adora level 7, or not level 7, level 11 attack cooldown delay increased from 0.8 to 0.85 seconds, so a little bit slower there, and at level 17 increased from 0.6 to 0.7, so she will attack a little bit slower with her base attack at higher levels, along with her level 3 and 7 ability cooldowns being longer. Also, when you max her out, level 20, the value required per 1% multiplier for blood sacrifice, that temporary attack buff that I was talking about, is no longer reduced. So you'll have to spend $100 per percent instead of $50 per percent at level 20. Unlike before, you used to not have to spend as much when she was already maxed out in order to get that buff. But you will have to spend more now. So that's it for Adora. So let's go ahead with our final hero that's getting some changes now. Or a change, shall we say. Be right back. Okay, so we do have a change for Geraldo as well. I'll go to the Park Path map on Sandbox pretty soon. But before I do that, notice how Geraldo is no longer listed after Open and before Churchill. Because usually the newest hero in the game is put after Open but before Churchill, but that is no longer the case. Instead, we have the order of the first 4 as usual, and then heroes after that from oldest to newest in the game. So let's go right here. And there's also a community button right there. I didn't notice that before. Content browser, challenges, odysseys, and maps. So let's go back to Sandbox right here. So, Geraldo, for his Paragon power totems, let's get him to level 20 right here. For his Paragon power totems, each totem placed now displays a buff icon with a stack count that now displays how many are placed. So if we tap here, we see the totem icon times 1. If we get another one right here, we see a times 2 icon. Sell this, back to times 1, and so on. So that's nice, I like that. That way you can keep better track of how many totems you have at one time, and you won't have to be like, alright, we have to put them in a specific order, and clump them together and count them and all that stuff. You won't have to do that anymore. So that's a nice QOL change, not necessarily a balance change, but a QOL change for sure. Then we have some Paragon changes. Speaking of Paragons, let's get the Apex Plasma Master right here to demonstrate. I guess you can't now, but Ninja Kiwi said in the patch notes you will be able to get Paragons in Sandbox mode as long as you've gotten the Paragon at least once before in a real game. So that applies to each Paragon individually, not Paragons collectively. So maybe it's coded in such a way that it only takes effect from this version. So that probably means after I get my next Apex Plasma Master in a real game, that will unlock the APM permanently for me to use in Sandbox. So that is a nice change if it is working as intended. I'm hoping it is. So let's see. There are some fixes and changes resolving some bugs and all that, such as one that benefited different Paragons' boss damage by differing amounts, and then another one that prevented other Paragon damage bonuses like camo and ceramic from scaling well with degrees, and also building any Paragon in a real game will now unlock that Paragon's upgrade for use in Sandbox. So I guess it is specific to this version, and we have to get each Paragon in real games as of update 39 in order to unlock them in Sandbox, which is fine by me as long as it's not a feature that they're saying is in the update but isn't actually there. Yeah, it's fine. So there was a cache slider now for Paragons. So I'm going to cut the video here so that I can go to the challenge browser, since this isn't working like I thought it would. And we will go over the rest of the changes from there. See you again soon. Okay, so we are back, and I am now going to talk about the Paragon cache slider and all of that, because there is a rework regarding the degrees for Paragons and all of that, like how you get higher degrees. And I think there is a change as well regarding the highest degree you can get in single player without using Geraldo as well. So I just realized as well, like right as I was going to the challenge browser, that Park Path is the map we used in update 38 to showcase the changes from then as well. So that's pretty cool that I coincidentally, or perhaps even subconsciously, chose the same map for this update as for last update. Just wanted to point that out. So, let's go ahead right here. I'm not going to experiment in this video regarding different degrees for Paragons, but notice how right here, when we use this cache slider right here, this comes up. So we can choose not to dump money into it, or we can choose to dump as much money as we possibly can into it. And by as much as we possibly can, that means whichever value is lower between the maximum amount of money you have and the amount required to fully make use of the cash sacrifice. So you still will have to get pops, and you still will have to get 100 tiers of upgrades, I think, even with this, but you won't have to spam down a bunch of tier 4s to get 250,000 worth of them or whatever. So here we are right here. We have a degree 56 Dart Paragon with just cash. However, again, notice that was like $470,000 we spent in addition to the cost of the Paragon itself. And we cannot get any of that back from selling. Notice that as well. So, that is something interesting right there. So, let's take a look. The contribution to the Paragon cache by absorbed towers, let's see, it says that has a scaling value. Let's see, this contributes to the Paragon cache contributed by absorbed tower scaling value at 5% reduced efficiency. So does that mean that it's still more worth it to spam down all the tier 4s, or is that something else? I'm thinking it's the former, but I could be wrong. But yeah, just wanted to point that out. I don't know how I feel about that, because I think this should be a pure QOL thing, not a do it at your own peril, it may cost you more kind of thing. So notice how when we go for the Boomerang Paragon instead, we can spend up to 866,000 on the sacrifices, the cash sacrifices, compared with 470,000 for the Dart Monkey. And this will get us degree 56 as well. So more expensive Paragons, you will have to inject more money into them to make the most use of that, compared with just a flat 250k before. $2.835 million for the Monkey Ace, so a little bit more than thrice the cost of the Paragon upgrade itself is how much you will have to inject in for this maximum amount of cash sacrifice, like for it to be the best that it possibly can be from that. So there is bonus boss damage getting buffed as well. So the Paragon boss damage multiplier at each 20 degrees is being increased from 20% to 25%. So I'm guessing that means if you have a degree 100 Paragon, for example, you will get a 125% multiplier instead of a 100% multiplier. So you will get a little bit of extra strength, 12.5% if my math is correct, from getting a degree 100 compared with pre-update. And again, this only applies to bosses, not to other balloons, not to normal games. So now we have some balance changes. So the Apex Plasma Master, notice how it is cheaper, $150,000 instead of $325,000. The damage is being reduced from 20 per projectile to 15. However, the bonus ceramic damage is going up from 30 to 75. So 90 total damage to ceramics instead of 50. And it is also going to attack a little bit slower. Battery's getting low again, but I think we can grind this out in time for tonight. So the attack cooldown, 0.4 seconds instead of 0.35 seconds. So 2.5 times a second instead of nearly 3 times a second. That is a significant nerf right there, maybe 15 or 16-ish% on the attack speed for this Paragon. Next up, we have the Glaive Dominus right here. Let me get the tower here. And it is cheaper as well, $275,000 instead of $350,000. And Dominus is getting a little bit of nerfing as well, however, not as much as the Dart. So the range is 60, not 75 like it used to be. The main attack boss damage multiplier reduced from 60 to 50, so less damage to bosses. The final explosion from the press attack will deal 4,000 boss damage instead of 5,000. Cooldown delay for the press attack, 3 seconds instead of 2.5 seconds, so a little slower there. And then we have, so I think that's about 1/6 weaker in terms of its attack speed. Then we have the orbital attack bonus boss damage reduced from 160 to 150. And the orbital attack radius is 50 instead of 60, so it will not be able to pop balloons as far away from the tower itself now as it was able to before with the orbital glaives. So that's a little interesting right there. Next up, we have the Navarch of the Seas. So this Paragon is not getting a price change. However, it is going to be a little bit weaker. So it's 550k just like before. And the turrets that shoot out of the boat itself, those will be shot out once every 0.25 seconds instead of once every 0.2145 seconds. So that's a little bit of a nerf right there. The main attack cooldown delay increased from 0.15 to 0.18. So that won't deal as much damage over time either. And also, the radial attack cooldown from the planes So I'm guessing the main attack is the one that's forward firing, and the radial attack is the one that shoots out in a circle. So the radial attack cooldown delay will be 1.5, or no, 1.8 seconds rather than 1.5 seconds. So those are getting nerfed as well. I think that if my math is correct, that's like a 20% nerf, something like that. So that is interesting as well. Then again, I do understand why Ninja Kiwi is doing this, because the Buccaneer is definitely very strong for its cost, especially. So I understand. I mean, sure, it can only be placed on water, so it's supposed to be strong for its cost, even relative to other power guns. But it shouldn't be too overpowered. So I do understand those changes. Next up, the Goliath Doom Ship. Its ability cooldown for the Carpet Bomb, 45 seconds instead of 40 seconds. So you will not be able to micro it as much with the ability. And micro is the strongest part about this power gun. So considering that it's the strongest power gun in the game and its ability is being nerfed, that does kind of say something. But then again, like, considering how powerful it already was, I do understand why Ninja Kiwi is doing this as well. Next up, we have the Wizard power gun right here, the Magus Perfectus. This tower is getting some changes as well. Let's go ahead and get it right there. So the sub-projectiles that are the small zombie balloons that it spawns, these will now have 50 pierce instead of 20. The Drain Beam damage, that being the weaker attack, the attack that the wizard fires while recharging mana, that deals 200 damage now instead of 50. So it's 4 times as powerful in its weaker state. The Arcane Spike Moab bonus damage is being increased from 200 to 250, and the boss bonus damage from 100 to 150. The Dark Phoenix's Firebomb attack will now deal 50 bonus damage to bosses. The Metamorphosis Flamethrower attack Pierce, that's when you use the first of its 2 abilities. That has 100 pierce now instead of 30. And the boss damage bonus, 1,000 instead of 500. So this tower is substantially stronger than it used to be, and I'm glad about that, because the wizard was kind of underwhelming for its cost, especially considering how micro-intensive you have to be with this tower in order for it to maximize its effectiveness. And how weak the Drain Beam was before. I'm glad that they decided to make this tower a little stronger in that regard. In fact, a lot stronger in that regard specifically, but a little stronger overall. So, the Ninja Monkey, no changes to the Ninja Power Gun, and the Ninja Power Gun actually got stronger from a bug fix rather than weaker. Engineer Monkey, no changes for that. Ninja Kiwi did mention that a lot of people want a redesign for the Engineer Power Gun, but with everything else about Power Guns uncertain, this was not a good time for that. Plus, it's the only support Power Gun, so they want it to be a DPS Power Gun until at least one other support class Power Gun is in game to fulfill that role. So, that is fair. I personally don't really care whether it's reworked or left the way it is. However, I think that it should be a little bit more powerful, because I feel that its overclock and all that is kind of underwhelming, considering its cost. It's like a tad bit stronger than the Ninja Power Gun with its overclocking nearly maxed out. but it's more expensive than the Ninja. And that's what I've observed from tests with it. So I think that it should be buffed, or that its cost should go down. Because if we look here, 500,000 for the Ascended Shadow, 650,000 for the Master Builder, 30% more expensive, not including the tier 5s. So I think it should be buffed. Let me know what you guys think. But I definitely think that this Paragon needs to be strengthened, so that it is more in line power-wise with its price. Finally, looking forward, Ninja Kiwi has mentioned some things about the Spirit Walker, the Sub-Paragon, and a boss challenge. So I'll go over that real quick. The Spirit Walker was postponed from Update 39, which is when it was originally scheduled to come out, to Update 40. So it's still due before the end of the year. And it has complex stacking abilities which are already being tested and balanced. So aside from the focus on the map editor, Ninja Kiwi needed to make sure that Corvus had ample focus to lock in this signature play mechanic. Not sure whether Corvus is the nickname of one of their devs or the name of the hero itself, but only time will tell. Then we have the Sub-Paragon being moved from Update 40 to an update next year. Not necessarily Update 41. Ninja Kiwi does not know when they are going to release that. But the first update of any given year is intentionally made smaller, to allow their Auckland team to recharge over the Southern Hemisphere summer break. So there is that as well. So then we have the boss challenge that they're working on. More design, UI, and server work has to be done to make the boss rush meet the new team event goals Ninja Kiwi has. So that will be developed further in the new year. And they do have a stretch goal to get more flexible individual boss play in for Update 40. So, it was pretty interesting to read about, and I am glad about this update, and I definitely say that it is a pretty good update, especially with the map editor. So let me know what you guys think in this update, and about it and all that. And I'm hoping that Ninja Kiwi adds more features to the map editor and all that, such as allowing people to create challenges that go beyond round 100, and like you can set custom life counts, starting cash, start round, etc., just like the challenge editor with the maps that are already in the game. So yeah, we will have to see where that goes, but I'm happy how it is in its current form as well. It's a great start. So that's going to wrap it up for today's video, you guys. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed. If you have enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more interesting content. And don't forget to use my creator code Mr008, no spaces, in the settings section if you are planning on making any in-app purchases and would like to support the channel. So refer to the start of this video if you do not remember how to do that. And other than that, once again, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you all again in the next video. Peace out.